right, episode 6. Welcome back. We're here with our boy Devin Powell,
What's up?
UFC vet, and Brendo.
How are you
as
guys?
always? How you guys doing?
Good.
I'm
Hanging
excited
in
to
there.
be here. Thanks for driving out, Devin. I know it's a little bit of a hike for you.
Yeah, Maine's a little bit different than these places. Where are we? Is this New Hampshire or Mass? I don't even
Manchester,
know.
New Hampshire.
I just put it in Siri and then I just show up places.
It's like I always feel bad making people drive, but then I realize like I drive to you guys all the time. I'm down in Mass, I'm down in Rhode Island, so I don't feel too bad. But no, we appreciate you taking the time away. We know you're a busy guy. Last 2 weeks, just to kind of recap what we've been working on. Calvin Cater's in camp. He's getting ready to fight Ricardo Lamas, UFC 238 in Chicago on June 8th. He's looking good in camp. Like, everybody's coming together. Got a lot of people helping, so that's been good. And then finally, we did get Rob Font booked for UFC Greenville in South Carolina on June 22nd.
I hear it's beautiful that time of year.
Have you ever been to Carolina?
No.
Have you?
Nope.
Oh, so I spent 6 weeks in Charleston, South Carolina back in 2010, and it was awesome. Like, the people are nice. The girls are not ugly. All they wanted, I always say that the girls just want to fix you things. Like, they're like, let me fix you a sandwich. Let me fix you a drink. And everybody's just hospitable. You go to a gas station, they all talk to you. So I'm looking forward to doing a show there. Nice weather.
Yeah, I hear it's not humid at all.
Hey, I'm gonna take the positives out of this. It'll be a good trip. So yeah, and then we got June 7th, the night before Rob's card. It's looking like there's 6 fights on Fight Pass, and 6 guys in those fights are all guys that are top game guys.
This is a CES card?
Yep,
Yeah.
CES on Fight Pass June 7th. And then the main event, we got Greg Rebello going against Devin's student, Kevin Haley. That'll be good. They're both good dudes. And I know that, Greg says this is his last fight. So that'll be exciting. Kevin, I don't know what his situation is, but it'll be good. I mean, I think it's both good dudes. Be a good, like Greg. Hopefully, obviously I'm biased. Hopefully Greg gets the win, goes out gets a new shiny belt, and then gets to fly out the next morning to Chicago and corner Calvin. So that'll be good.
Boy, be a busy weekend for him.
Yeah. I mean, some people think we're crazy for doing that, but he's going to fly out the next morning at like 7 a.m. to Chicago, him and Steve Mays, and then he'll
It's not a long flight. It's fine.
No, it's not bad. I mean, even if he gets hurt, what's he going to do? He's going to break his hand? He can still fly. If it was a UFC fight and he got hurt, he'd fly home the next day.
It's true.
Yeah, they put you on the plane at like 3 a.m. It's insane.
Yeah, you got some good injury stories, which we'll get into. But so let's just get into your background. Like, tell us whatever you want us to know, like a little bit about yourself. I know you said you're from live in Maine, but I don't even know if you're from Maine.
Yeah, I grew up in Maine. I've been in Maine my whole life, pretty much. I didn't do any of this stuff when I was younger. I was like the most passive kid ever. I just played music, jumped into like bushes and like pushed shopping carts and like people off like buildings and crazy stupid stuff. Like, but I've never been in a fight in my life except for inside of a cage. So when I got out of high school, all my bandmates and whatnot, they all kind of went away and did the college thing. I tried it for a year, but I hated it. I didn't know what I was doing. I just did it because I thought I was supposed to. But I missed playing music. I missed playing shows. I missed kind of the passion and that, like, the thrill of like performing in front of an audience. So I would come home from working at a passport center, which is just a job I became complacent at. And every night WEC Wreckage would be on, so I just like watch Carlos Condit and Matt Brown and or Mike Brown and Uriah, all those guys, and I just watched it and I just kind of figured that was something that was exciting, and it reminded me of music except just way more bloody and violent, but it's still performing, and there's something about performing and like mastering a craft and then going and getting a chance to do it in front of a group of people that I really was drawn to. So I found an MMA gym, started doing it every single day, did jiu-jitsu tournaments, started winning, and then fighting just sort of came, and I've been running with it since. Now I have my gym, so like in the future too, I'm not going to hopefully work at like, I don't know, Burger King or something. Like most fighters end up with kind of lost after, so yeah.
So
What kind of music did you play?
I played guitar in a band. We were kind of like a instrumental, like ambient kind of rock kind of deal. It was a lot of fun, but You know, I've talked to some of the guys I used to play music with, and now that we've been like 12 years removed or so, we talk about wanting to record something just because we never really recorded really well. And we just did like a live recording when we were in high school, and we still want to do it. So I kind of have come full circle. I bought back my first nice guitar, my Gibson SG, from a buddy that was just came back from tour, and he just gave me the first option if I wanted it. So I picked it up, and I've been talking to my old bassist. So I really want to play music still. You know, I absolutely love it. So I'm hoping that I can make that happen.
Nice.
Do you sing too, or do you just play the guitar and then another singer? You're a singer?
You heard me before. I mean, should have been. No, I can't sing. Not at all.
I have
terrible.
no music ability.
Yeah, I can't even talk while I'm playing guitar. I'm like, my brain is like one thing at a time. It's terrible. But I can play guitar pretty well.
I enjoy music, but I wouldn't describe myself as like musically inclined. Like I can't play any instruments. I can't sing. I can't carry a tune. But Brendo and I'm not like a guy who goes to concerts a lot. But Brendo, I feel like his whole life revolves around fish.
No.
Yeah,
Come on.
It does.
No. A couple months a year. That's it.
Aside from traveling with me for MMA, if you ask him like the last 5 years, anywhere he's gone, it's been to go see a fish concert.
Can confirm, yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, what kind of music is you're saying like?
I mean, I say like ambient rock, like, but we had a lot of like, I grew up like obsessed with like Blink-182, so
Okay.
like pop punk stuff. A lot of my like bandmates or whatnot, band members, they liked like screamo and like some heavier stuff. So there's a lot of different influences. But like when I was in high school, like my hair parts to the right now because of Tom DeLonge. It used to be naturally to the left. Tom DeLonge's the old singer of Blink-182. I had my lip pierced, black hair, like I was the man.
Yeah, I see a
Are
picture
there
of
any
that.
current pictures available of that?
I mean, there's some old pictures of that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we can get one.
All
We'll dig
right.
one up.
Oh, I
But
gotta see that.
it looked awesome.
So who is so how's it work in a band? So you said you play the guitar, but then there's a bassist. Like, is there a singer and then maybe a drum player?
Yeah, so we had 2 guitarists, 1 bassist, the drummer, and then our singer was like kind of non-existent. So that's why we're kind of like instrumental. We tried a few guys out, but our music was just so wild and all over the place that like I don't think people knew what to do with it. But we had like this little tiny cult following of all these high schoolers. So it was like we had like 10 good fans. It was dope.
When he said the singer was non-existent, I was like, you had a singer, but at the show he never showed up, and then all we had was music. That's it. We got no lyrics tonight, guys. Sorry.
I like it.
We had that happen once, not with the singer. We had I hope he's doing okay. My first band, we had a coffee house or like a talent show we were gonna play, and our drummer was like had a anxiety attack. He was bipolar, and he didn't show up. So we're like, oh no. So one of our friends' bands, like the drummer, went into the hall with us, and like we went over a song with him. He's like, all right, I'll play drums for it. Just like horrible, but he was the best musician out of all of us, so it was all right.
So so if you don't have, it's always the singer that's the lead of the band. I always feel like he's like in charge, like the lead guy. Is he the head band member? What would you call that? The lead?
Yeah, just the.
Is it always the
front
singer?
man?
The front man. Is he?
Usually, I mean that people are drawn to the lyrics, you know. But I mean, if you don't have good background noise, then it's hard to survive. But yeah, I mean everybody's gonna work together, but everybody looks at the front man. You know what I mean? It's like look at like how good like Calvin and Rob are, but there's a lot of people behind them, but people look at them because they're the fighters. But
right.
Without like if they were at a different camp, different management, you know, different team, all this stuff, who knows if they'd ever have even gotten to this stage.
It's a good analogy. So
Yes.
there you go. But from like the band dynamics though, just because he's the front man, he's the one that's known, like the singer. Is he the one that's in charge? Like when you're in the back room, like does the drummer have to get drinks for the singer? Like how's that work?
I think usually,
What's the pecking order?
I think I would imagine because I mean I only played music in high school, so we didn't get too far.
Your 10 fans want to know.
Yeah,
I would say the low
think-
man has got to be the drummer. It's got to be.
I think if it's a band that survives from being like young and they continue touring and they make it big, I think a lot of times, unless like they get heavily influenced by like how rich they are, usually they're a bunch of kids that like grow up and are friends in high school together and stuff. So they're all kind of equal, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think record labels will I guess pay different people differently. Like Freddie Mercury, like he, you know, his head blew up pretty good, and he was getting paid like crazy to try and do like solo stuff. But like for the most part, I think they're, it's a group of best friends that hate each other and love each other from time to time, but they kind of all are working together to write the music.
Makes sense. I wish I could play an instrument. Like, I feel like if I want to play the piano, even though I have these little midget fingers and I have no dexterity.
Get those power fingers. You hit those keys.
I know. I always find like music that I actually like, a new song comes out and I like it. It always has a piano like kind of in it.
Yeah.
Like chick music, but.
Well, that's all right. I mean, really, if you want the girls, you play the lead guitar, but.
I mean, I guess I couldn't play guitar well enough.
So you did. You said you watched WEC, and then you went to MMA. Was it Seacoast MMA back then?
Yeah, Seacoast MMA and BJJ. Yeah, yep. Jimmy DeLuca.
Yeah.
Yep. Keith Walsh was my Thai coach. Adam Rivera and Troy Pickering were the MMA guys. So.
But you went in, like, totally green and said, "I want to fight."
Yep.
So that, I feel like you were just starting to see some of those like young kids that did that as kids, but you're kind of like the first crop of probably the adults that came in. Like, you weren't an adult, but you know what I'm saying? Like a high school, college age kid coming in doing a sport and saying like, I want to fight. 'Cause a lot of it before that was like wrestlers or jiu-jitsu guys that turned, I guess I'll take a fight. But now you're seeing that a lot more with guys like Mitch and the Rory McDonalds of the world that they just trained MMA from a young age. So it's interesting to see the evolution. Because I always thought you did jiu-jitsu, and then you were like, oh, I'll do a fight. But no, that's cool.
Yeah, just showed up, started doing everything all at once. As far as combat sports go, I had a pretty bad taste in my mouth as far as all of it. Like, if wrestling's considered a combat sport, because I went to Marshwood and we had the coach was Matt Ricks, and his daughter Dee Dee Ricks is, if you follow like wrestling in the Northeast, I think pretty much most people know her. She's a phenomenal wrestler, like world class. She's married to an Olympian. But she was a year older than me, and my dad wrestled. He's from Pennsylvania. My brother wrestled. I didn't even know what wrestling was, but they're like, you're going to wrestle. So I'm like in first grade, if that, maybe even younger. They take me to a practice. They're like, oh, you're going to match up with this girl, Dee Dee. Like, all right. Like, I don't know what we're doing. And then 2 seconds later, I'm just getting tossed around like a rag doll. The next day comes, and I literally hid in the closet. My dad's like, wrestling practice? I'm like, no, I'm not here. I don't know what that was, but that is not a practice I want to ever do again. So, and not until when I was 19 did I get back into.
So you stopped wrestling after one
practice? I did
practice?
not do any more of that. I did not understand it. I just was like, I'm getting smashed by the coach's daughter. And
I remember
rough ride.
My brother Tristan, he was gonna wrestle in high school. Like he wanted to, then he didn't. And then I came back and I was helping coach. And the same thing, he's like, all right, if you're going to coach, I'm going to do wrestling this season. So he showed up at the practice, doing takedowns, and then the coach, he's like, all right, you go with that kid, Tristan. It was this kid, Simeon, who ended up being like a state champ. He's real good. And he just threw my brother around, like throttled him. And my brother's like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. But yeah, you can have one bad experience in it. It's pretty humbling, and it can just like make it not fun. It's hard to see the fun in it when you're just getting your butt kicked.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of
I think you should have given it more than one day, though. I mean,
sorry, technical difficulties.
It just goes right in the bottom.
There she is. Just edit that out. Don't worry about it. We're good. I'm back.
Brendo said you should have given it more than one day.
Yeah, I don't know. If you wrestle with that chick, you'd probably you'd be done too. It was not fun.
Now you, aside from MMA, you surf, but did you skateboard too?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the jackass kind of growing up kind of lifestyle, like surf, skate, snowboard, a little bit of rollerblading. Don't tell too many people about that. I'm really opening up. But yeah, playing music, being very irresponsible. I mean, I was like straight edge though throughout. Like that was the cool thing, being straight edge, like playing music. I didn't really do anything. But we were definitely not the best kids. We did not until I look back at it now, I'm like, man, I can't believe I acted like that. Just disrespectful, but we were just trying to make each other laugh, but it was at the expense of other people. And it's just, we looked like just terrible versions of the cast of Jackass. You know what I mean? But that was kind of
getting paid.
Yeah, getting paid and no health. Well, actually, no, I probably had health insurance. My parents had to pay for all that stuff. I'm
so scared of sharks. With the idea of even trying surfing, I know we're in New England. There's not a lot of sharks, but it only takes one. So So did you do skateboarding first, then get into surfing, or was it kind of like you did both your whole life?
No, I started surfing after. I think snowboarding came first. Well, I guess skating, snowboarding, all that were kind of all together, and then surfing was the last one. Still the hardest for me to get. I feel really good on a snowboard, but surfing I love going, but I'm still not like. I watch some of my friends surf and they're like nasty. I still get thrashed, but it's fun. It's just surfing. You gotta like. It's a battle to get out, and then it's if you don't get on the wave right and you know pearl dive or whatever, then it's another battle to get back out, and it's just a constant fight. At least snowboarding, like you take a lift and you just chill and then you go down, but surfing's a monster.
You never surfed, right?
I tried it once.
Come on.
It was not a good experience.
It's like wrestling DD Ricks.
I'm just so scared of sharks.
It's okay. If you go to Hampton, you're probably not going to run into a shark, but you also don't have to go out that far.
So I was on the Cape one summer, and we just moved back into college, and it was like really nice out. So my roommate, who was from the Cape, he's like, "Hey, let's go back to my house. We'll take the boat out for the day." I'm like, "All right, cool." Tommy O.B.
Yep.
And we go back to his house, and then he puts the anchor out, down about maybe, I'd say 75 yards off the beach. And he's like, "Oh, let's throw the football around." I was like, "Screw that." I just swam right to the shore. And I was like, "I'm scared of sharks, but there's swimming, it's probably this deep." And he's like, "There's no sharks." That night, no lie, we got home, and a mile from where we were, there was a great white shark that was like swimming around like the beaches there, and then got caught in one of like the inlets or whatever. Yeah. I was so mad. I was like, "See,
That's
what
the
I'm
Cape,
talking
though.
about."
You'll get one or two of those a year.
Ugh.
Go to Hampton. You might step on a needle, but you won't run into a shark very often.
It'd be a slower death.
Do you ski in Northampton, or do you? Snowboard or surf? Sorry.
I surf. I live in Wells, Maine, so I surf like near there. I used to surf in like a Gunkwit and Northampton and Rye a bit, but mostly in Wells now. Kennebunk sometimes, but stay a little more in Maine.
And do you still skateboard?
No, it's way too dangerous. I can't even like jump off a curb anymore without like my knees and ankles hurting. So
Right.
The idea of falling on pavement is like I'm totally done with it.
How's
I mean,
that?
I love it, but it's just thrash, like rip your knees off, and like, yeah, I stick to something that's soft like snow or the water.
So transitioning a little bit is you kind of have an interesting journey of how you got into the UFC. I mean, I was there that night, but I left early.
Oh, good call.
Yeah, no, I left early because we had our guy fight a big heavyweight, and he got beat up pretty good. And then,
Oh, Battle?
Yeah.
Battles? Is he still fighting?
No, that was his last fight,
Oh.
and he's got a kid now, and I think he's own excavation company, and he's doing pretty well. But yeah, he got in a scrap, and he was beating the heck out of a guy, and then just gassed out, and then
Yeah.
he got stitches in 3 places in the back room where
We had similar injuries in that fight, as I remember.
Yeah, so I guess explain that, because I think that's a cool story, because there's not many kids that have come through that path like you have to kind of tell it from your perspective.
Yeah, so I'll go back just a little bit. So with owning the gym, Nostos MMA, like it was one of those things. It was like I wanted a path for after I was done fighting, which I wasn't looking for a reason to be done, but I wanted to make sure I could do something after, because it's like you never know, no matter how good you are. I mean, look at Nate Andrews. Look how long it took for him to get a huge shot, which is like the biggest shot probably like anybody really has ever gotten around here. But it's too good to not have that earlier.
Yeah.
So like I just feel like no matter how much I believed in how good I was, I'd never really know. Could have one bad injury, whatever. So the gym was kind of one thing that I wanted to make sure I had really strong. So at the point that I took 4 fights in exactly 6 months, but I was like 3-1 or something like that when that happened. And I just didn't really know if when or if I was going to fight next. But then Calvin, I think it was Calvin, it was for Combat Zone. They just like, "Do you want to take a fight?" I was like, whatever, let me fight. Took a fight, and then I got offered to fight for the New England Fights lightweight belt. I was like, all right, definitely. During that fight camp, I couldn't even bend over to touch my toes. My back was so messed up. I had to only stand southpaw to try and hit mitts light. And I could only go on like an Echo or an Aerodyne bike to do cardio. I couldn't grapple. So super banged up. And then before that fight even happened, I was offered a fight for World Series of Fighting. So it was like, well, this is the big stage, so I can't say no to that. So even though I'm still unhealthy, I accept that before I even fight for the title. Thankfully, I win the title, and then immediately after I go fight for World Series of Fighting, and then I fight. I'm so banged up. Both my feet are like giant balloons, and my back is still banged up. and I was like, all right, I'm done for a bit. I need to rest. You know, I don't really know what I'm doing this for. Like, I got to just take care of myself because I never do. And then I'm about maybe almost a month in for resting after that fight, and I get a call saying somebody got hurt on the Dana White looking for a fight, like during their camp or whatever for that show, and he was coming to Maine because he has like a vacation home or something because that's where he's from. So when they said that, I was like, well, obviously I can't say no. So I hopped into a short camp. It was a 3-week camp, and got in there, and I was doing well. I got my nose broken really badly, but I kept fighting. I like went to wipe Vaseline. I thought from the side of my face, I was like, oh, that's my nose over here. That's like what's in my peripheral. But I powered through, dropped him, hopped on top, choked him, hopped up on the cage, looked at like Dana and Dan and Matt Serra. I was just like, is my nose broken? They're like, yeah. And then so after that, like I went out back. Like all the adrenaline started going away. I was just slumped on the wall outside of like the changing room or whatever, like the blue corner, red corner, whatever it was. And like my daughter came in with Carolyn, and they I was covered in my own blood. And my daughter wouldn't even like look at me. She was like scared of me. Like I was just sitting there. I was like, man, if this isn't it, like I don't know, what anymore, because it was like the show's over. There was one other fight I think after me. And I just didn't know what was going to happen from there. And then somebody was like, hey, Dana White wants to meet you. I was like, oh, my God, all right. So they come out back, and they just talk to me, and they're like, well, answer your phone. You know, it's like basically like, we're going to call you. You're going to get signed. That's how it works. So, yeah, it was a crazy 6 months. But, yeah, it was a huge part of my life, and, like, the way that the academy's grown and everything I'm super thankful for, you know, and yeah, it was a cool experience, cool half year. And I mean, everything since has been great as well, you know, ups and downs, but you know, you gotta kind of go with everything that happens.
And then the World Series fight, that was a Marcelino, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Dickhead. I like Tommy a lot, actually.
He's a very nice
guy. Tommy
guy.
fought, he beat me, and then you got him back for me.
Yeah, I thought I wouldn't like him as much as I did.
He's such a nice kid.
I know. I'm not trying to be mean, Tommy, but your fans are brutal. They are brutal.
Yeah, no, I remember before the fight, his fans, like, because we didn't know who he was. I fought him when he was like 1-0 or whatever, and I think I was 1-0, and he hadn't fought in a while, and his fans are out back trying to like gamble with my fans, be like, I'll bet you $100 my boy whips your boy's ass. And we were pretty confident going in because we were like, oh, we're just gonna fight this 1-0 kid who hasn't fought in a bunch of years. And one of his friends, who I didn't know at the time, one of his friends had like messaged me on Facebook, like, oh, dude, this guy, he's a turd. Like, you're gonna kill him. But come to find out, it was like he just wanted to trick me into taking the fight, you know. So and then like that guy was like good friends with him still till this day, you know. So I got played a little bit, but which is fine. So they're like, oh, we're going to bet him. And my friends are like almost doing it because I'm like, oh, no, I'm fighting a turd. And then Tommy goes out and he like whoops my ass. I mean, I didn't, like, he beat me, but I got a couple good shots in.
Yeah.
You know? The next day he came up in the hotel and he came to shake my hand and he's like, hey, buddy, thank you. And I think he was hurting more than I was.
Yeah.
He got the win, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, he's a good kid. And then, that's a crazy story. So then, it was probably, you said, how long after till you got the call to say, hey, you're going to fight? And you made your debut in Phoenix, right?
Yeah, so it was August, I believe. So I get signed in August. I don't know if it's official or whatever, but that was when the fight was, and they said they were signing me. And then it was like a couple days later when Joe Silva called and like gave me all the details or whatever. Mm. But in that fight, I broke my nose, and like, ironically enough, it was at the very end, but I set my hooks after I knocked him down to put in the rear naked, and as I like pushed my hips in, I started squeezing, I blew out my LCL. So I popped my knee as I was choking. It was like the worst. I like was squeezing, then it was like pop, I was like, oh, and then I just had to like keep going. And then the next morning I left for Allagash, which is like 8 hours up Maine where my family's from, to do a canoe trip. So my knee was busted, my face was busted, but I went and did like a however many day canoe trip on the Allagash River. And like, if you ever do it, it's like, it's amazing, but it's also depending on the time of the year, the water's pretty low. So there's so many spots over these crazy slippery rocks. We had to pick up the canoe and carry it all over the place. But yeah, so once I get home, I had my knee looked at properly because I was like, well, I felt it pop, but I'm not like, there's no way I'm going to not go on this trip to see family, like especially after riding that high of everything that happened. But when I got home, they just like, yeah, so you tore your LCL. Obviously, your face is broken. You need to wait 6 weeks before you get punched. And then it was like 6 to 8 weeks before my knee was healthy. And still my back was all banged up, but at least I was like resting it a little bit more. And then by the time my knee was like probably pretty good to go, and like everything else was like okay enough to get to camp, I just had a fight booked. I was supposed to fight Jordan Rinaldi actually.
Yep.
And then instead I got the superhero Drakkar Klose, the super foot stomper.
I remember, so I wasn't managing back then, and I remember we saw your opponent got hurt, so we submitted Nate Andrews, and then I think they offered you Drakkar and Nate.
Yeah.
And then after, you chose Drakkar, you trained with Nate, whatever. It's awkward fighting somebody you know.
Yeah.
But then Nate was so upset that he's like, just pick me, we'll fight, and then I'm in.
Yeah.
Like he was just so upset. Like,
Yeah,
I was like, I get it.
Yeah, and it was one of those things that it's kind of like I would say really inexperienced for me. Because when I saw that, like the two options was like, well, he invited me to his gym to train, like super nice guy. Like, why would I want to like have two guys like go head to head that are both from the Northeast? Why not just fight this dude that I have no like feelings for whatsoever? Dude, and it turns out he's like one of the number one MMA recruit. Like he's Benson Henderson's like main dude, like nasty,
good wrestler.
Yeah, Michigan State champion wrestler, like all this stuff. But my coach was like immediately pretty much was like, we got these two names, and I was just like, I've trained with this guy, I don't know this guy, like, all right, we're fighting this guy. I was like, okay. So like really we really didn't do any, and that's kind of been something that's been part of me for a long time, just not really like always training hard enough, but not really always with like the exact like right intentions, like not studying stuff, not having somebody like you that watches tape. I'm just kind of going like, dude, just fight, just go beat him up, whatever. However it happens, just have it happen. Somebody like him, maybe we could have been like, all right, we need to actually work on the wall a little bit because he's just gonna sit there and stomp your feet. But yeah.
Yeah, it was I mean, you still performed in that fight. Like the kid's good. Drakkar's obviously very good.
Yeah. I think it was just a great game plan. He completely stalled me out, which sucked. Like I landed a good amount of strikes. He landed more. A lot. I don't. Do foot stomps count as strikes?
I have no
Because
idea.
if so, then we were pretty much even on strikes aside from his foot stomps, because that was more than 50% of them. But yeah,
Did they hurt?
The next day, my feet didn't
There
feel
you
good.
go, then they
But
count.
during it, I was just like, oh, this is the worst. As just like, I don't know. I hate that when people like aren't fighting to win. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but like people that aren't like he broke my eye socket in that fight with one elbow. I landed a couple good elbows. And then I went away from it because, like, I think it was just like the jitters. I was cross-facing and sliding elbows from the wall, but my fingers weren't anywhere near his eyes. But I got a warning, just said like, watch your fingers, Powell, or something like that. But like watching it back, I never actually was like close. He's just making sure that I didn't get close. But I never threw another one after that. But he just popped me with one, and just right here, I got this forever now. This lovely little guy. But he broke my eye socket with that elbow. And I just remember my eyes like, you're not gonna work now. but I just feel like he could have kept doing that, and then I could have thrown more, but it's also riskier.
I think sometimes that's more of a sign of respect. Like sometimes people are just, okay, I'm going to do the bare minimum. Maybe they have an injury we don't know about, so they're just playing it safe because they know they can't go 3 rounds. Like if they push any harder or whatever. Maybe they were sick on fight week, and sometimes it's a respect thing. It's like, listen, like I know I don't. He's a great wrestler, but he probably respected your jiu-jitsu. He's like, well, I don't want to be in this kid's guard. There's a black belt with long legs like that who's got submission wins. Like, why test it if I can hold him here? If like, all right, this is working, let's just keep doing it. And it's super frustrating when you're the guy being held. But then, Tony Martin will always use the line. It's like, listen, like, it's his job to get off the wall.
Yeah.
Like, that's not my problem, But when you're the guy getting pushed up against the wall, it's easy to get frustrated and be like, what the frick?
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally understand it.
Yeah.
Like it's if you're winning, you're winning. You're getting paid the same. Aside from obviously the 3 or 4 small chances to get a big bonus, but yeah, I mean, it's just not. I've never had that style, but I also don't have those kind of physical capabilities. Like I'm not going to be able to get underneath somebody and hold them on a wall like that. If I could bully people, maybe I would, but I'm long.
Right.
So like if I feel like it lends to itself to a little bit more of like an exciting style. Catch someone with a long punch, knock them down, and then usually choke them because I knock them down. So it's just different body types can do different things, and I'm just not gonna be one that's gonna be able to do that. I'm so flaily, like a wild whacking inflatable flailing arm flailing tube man. So I gotta kind of go with the flow there.
I think when, yeah, you're definitely like entertaining. You know, like you say, like you're flaily. Your nickname used to be the pterodactyl. You said, but that's like, talk about your pig, okay?
Okay. I mean,
Let's talk
enough
about the pig a
fighting.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I fought in Calgary. So I had a. We can talk about this more, but like I had a pretty bad injury that most people know about by now. Before that, I didn't know if I'd have another fight in the UFC. But I just kept campaigning, was like posting everywhere, telling people to like share whatever. And then I got injured pretty badly. And then out of nowhere, after 13 months of like just having kind of like radio silence, they told me that there was a fight for me, a 30-day camp against what you might know his name.
I don't remember the kid. It was
It's a Hispanic kid.
yeah, I don't remember his name.
Oh man, it's terrible because I just think of the last guy I fought who's from Spain, Jesus Pineda, but this is not him. Alvaro Herrera. Is that right? Yeah, Alvaro Herrera.
Okay.
So yeah, dude that was on Ultimate Fighter, and they're basically just trying to get me to fight him on 30 days, which was a no-brainer. So I was getting ready for that fight camp, and something that me and Carolyn have always talked about, because since I was a kid, I wanted to have a pet pig, is that once my dog Ava died, who I got when I was 18, before I even started training MMA, when she passed away, because she was a little bit older, I could get a pig. So it was like 2 weeks before that fight, I came home from training, and she was just dead on the ground at my house.
Oh.
It was like heartbreaking. I dug a hole behind my house at like, I get home late from training, and I have to be back in early. I had to do strength and conditioning at my gym in the morning, but I wasn't done like digging the hole until like 12:30 or so, and then like burying her and like laying out there, and like it was horrible. And then back in the gym for 9 a.m. to start strength and conditioning, and then 2 weeks later fighting in Canada. But in that 2-week time frame, I mean, like it was the worst thing ever that happened. But I knew that like my dog was already depressed. Like he was just laying on the floor, like wouldn't move for days. I knew which place I wanted to get the pig from, a place, Orange Grove Farm in Florida, which is a really reputable company that takes care of them. They're very nice, smart pigs that are like handled and everything. So it was like 2 days after I came home from winning in Calgary, the pig just arrived at the door in a blanket, like wrapped up. They bring her out of the truck, and just had a pig, and now she's almost a year old.
And how big will it? I know we talked about this before, but how big is it supposed to get? And what kind of pig is it?
So it's a mini potbelly pig. So she should get another at least 20, 30 pounds. Right now she's probably like 40, 45 pounds. She looks way smaller than Gunner, which is our dog, but like if you feel her, she's girthy. She's like she's a thick girl. But
she's trained just like the dogs.
Yeah,
like,
trains just like the
outside.
dogs, but they're more stubborn than dogs. Like dogs are, they just want to be your best friend, and she's just like, all right, if you don't have food, I'm gonna just I'm gonna wander and I'm gonna look for food. Like if you scratch me, all right, I'll chill here until I fall over, and I'll just stay there and sleep. But she's like, whatever she wants, she's gonna get. She's not out there to please you, really.
Where does she sleep with you guys?
Sometimes. So we have a little house on a pond in Maine, and we have an attic where we sleep. So it's like a stairwell that goes like pretty much straight up. So our dog can climb it. There's no way Phoebe can, which is the pig. So I have to like carry her, but she's just getting bigger and bigger. So like I'm carrying her up this thing with this attic stairwell that goes like straight up, and it's like super dangerous. So she's sleeping up there very infrequently at this point. She like just hops on the couch though and just sleeps, and she just like crawls underneath a blanket and snuggles up. Because her body temp's 104, so she likes being hot. She sleeps almost touching our fire too.
Oh, geez.
It's crazy.
It's cute. I've done that a couple of times. It's funny.
Have you thought about a pulley system to get her up there?
I actually have. Yeah, I talked about that. Getting like a bucket to like throw her in, like a laundry bucket, and just like pull her all the way up. That'd be awesome.
Won't be bad. I'm sure you could rig something up.
Yeah, she screams when she's unhappy though. Like they have pretty strong defense mechanism. If somebody that she doesn't know picks her up, she's just like, it's awful sounding. But that's what she does.
And then you have, I know you mentioned Carolyn a couple times, and then your daughter's name is
Clementine.
Clementine.
Yep.
And how old is she?
7.
7.
Yeah.
And then Carolyn, you were engaged but not married yet, right?
No, we're married.
Oh,
Yep.
married.
Yep.
Why did I think you were
We got
engaged?
married in Allagash, which is the place that I went to do that canoe trip.
Sorry, Carolyn. I'm not an idiot. I swear. So I always even say it to my wife, I'm like, oh, no, his fiance Carolyn.
Yeah.
For some reason, sorry.
The question
That's okay.
really becomes: did Tyson go to the wedding and didn't remember?
No,
that
he
would've
didn't
been
go that
worse.
far. Yeah.
That would have been worse. I think talk a little bit about like Carolyn, because Carolyn does a lot more than a normal wife would do for the fighters. Like she's at a lot of your training sessions. She's running a lot of stuff. She holds mitts for you. She takes you through training sessions. So like I think that's kind of a unique thing that you got going on.
Yeah, I mean, she's what we call like the gym manager. So she does a lot of the stuff. Like I teach 6 days a week, and I'm training to like I feel like I'm always training. Whereas like if I got a short like the same 30-day notice fight, I could easily hop in, and sometimes it'd be even better for me because like I feel like I train so hard that if I try and up it for like a 10-week camp after doing that, I'm gonna be so dead for the fight itself. So like with me training like that and teaching, doing privates, and just trying to be alive and take care of Clementine and all that, she has to do a lot to keep the gym going. So she's talking to all the fight leagues for our fighters. She's setting up fights, getting all their information over to leagues. She's holding pads for me too. So like if I need like extra work, obviously, like she really is a really good pad feeder. We work like a little bit more like technical flowy stuff. I have other guys that'll like work real hard power and whatnot for. So she doesn't like beat me up at home for doing that with her. But yeah, she's a really good pad feeder, and she holds for a lot of the fighters. A lot of the fighters choose to want to work with her because
Nice.
she can like get a real good flow state with all of them. But yeah, and she's actually fought herself a couple times. She might not admit it, but she does not like jiu-jitsu.
No? She wants to bang?
Yeah, she wants to bang. So we're actually hoping to get her on the next Combat Zone card in August for kickboxing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like if she's in a jiu-jitsu class, like rolling around, if all the right elements are right, she'll like kind of have fun. But like jiu-jitsu is a mother effer, you know, like it's not wrestling, but if you have two guys, especially like MMA fighters, and they're going like it's hard, you know, and like especially if somebody's trying to shut you down and like, you know, sometimes you gotta like butter somebody up and like let them win a little bit, you know. But when you're getting ready for a fight, you know, you got to kind of make people's lives hell, and like that's not very fun sometimes, you know. So she's definitely more of a fan of the kickboxing aspect.
I would think that the jiu-jitsu is harder on your body than the kickboxing.
I think
It
so.
sounds weird like the people who don't do either one of them, but like you can go out and kickbox a bunch as long as you're not getting really banged in the head. You should be pretty good. But the jiu-jitsu, you know, your joints, your neck, like everything just starts getting wrenched up. I think probably better for her.
Yeah, I think yeah, it just depends. Like as far as brain trauma, kickboxing is obviously rough. But as far as just like hard training, I think you can do hard kickboxing. Maybe your hips are gonna get a little arthritic or whatnot, but you can hit pads and like all that for a long time. Jiu-jitsu, if you're gonna like drill really hard, that's rough on you. Like getting taken down, even if it's not live training, I think it's pretty rough on you. Getting stacked up in drills and like double legs and all that stuff. I think it's just it's rough.
I always got hurt more with jiu-jitsu. Yeah, and then if it was during sparring, if I got hurt on the feet, it was more of like a head injury, which obviously isn't great. But
Head injuries aren't good.
no. Concussions are the worst. I got knocked out one time in training, and I was like seeing 3 roads on the way home, and I was like, just aim for the middle one. And then that night I got home and I was puking in my sleep. It was just bad. But that's a whole different story. Speaking of injuries, though, I think you have the most unique. So you have obviously the big Joe Lozon injury.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, you can talk about that one if you want. And then you have the really unique injury in Argentina, which I think
horrible.
I don't think really people really understand what happened, because they're like, oh, you got poked in the eye, but it's like, no, that's not what happened. Like, and then obviously you've been dealing with, like you said, your back off and on. But I think the 2 interesting ones is the Joe Lozon bully injury.
Yeah,
call him Bully Joe. The Joe Lozon injury, and then the eye one. Those are like 2 things that I think like those are stories you're going to be telling like your grandkids someday.
Yeah, if I can even have them anymore. Yeah, so the first one, the super fun injury with Joe, we were rolling. I think what happened, Joe, is that you were frustrated that you weren't past my guard yet, and you wanted to speed the process. So he was trying to do a knee cut. So if you don't do jiu-jitsu, which I think most people probably that are listening kind of do it, but you're trying to elevate your knee and cut it to the side of the person. Their legs are wrapped around trying to keep a guard to kind of submit you. So you're trying to get around the guard. So he came up, instead of cutting to the side, he went straight down like a wrecking ball into my testicle, and he popped it like a grape. It was awesome, a giant grape.
Okay.
But yeah, so, and we drive a ways. It's like 2 hours to get there. So it happened. I was on the ground. I was like, oh, I've never felt something like that before.
Dude, I heard the video.
Oh,
like, someone
yeah.
had a video. They were filming someone else rolling.
And they didn't even change the camera
No,
angle. They just like kept
you
it
could
on
just
them.
hear the audio, and he was just like, oh, and you're like, oh, I know what's happening. Like, you could tell that was a testicle.
Yeah. So I went, I laid on the floor for probably 15 minutes straight while people kept rolling. I was just like, I can't move. And then I was like, all right, Devin, you gotta pick it up. You gotta stop being a little baby. Like, go check things out and then come back, and like, you should do something. Like, you drove all the way, you gotta do a little more. So I went to the bathroom and I kind of checked my boys out, and it felt like it had like a unicorn horn. I was like, that's not normal. So I went back out and I was like, I think I'm done. So I had to shower up. I had to hold like full on hand support while showering. I couldn't leave it unsupported at all, because like literal agony is like the worst. So I took a shower, and then when we were leaving, I asked where the next the closest walk-in or anything like that was, and they told me there's one right down the road.
Yeah.
So we stopped. I was like, I should get looked at or whatever. And when we stopped, I told them the deal. Like, I know you've experienced this with all the fighters, but at the time with like the UFC insurance, like, it's not even really insurance. Basically, you get hurt training, they'll like help you out. It's like $1,500 you owe, and then after that, whatever the injury is, all the stuff that follows, it's kind of taken care of. But I tried to explain that. I was like, I have a number, name's Taylor, like such and such. Like, you don't have insurance, so like, get out of here. I was like, but I swear to God, I do.
Yeah.
Like, just look at me. Like, no, sorry, you gotta go. And like, so they basically kicked me out. So I went home. Before I went home, I had a couple strong adult beverages at a bar, because I was like, I need something here. I went home and I stayed in bed for like 2 days. I like didn't teach classes. I was like, I'm done, guys. I'm out for a bit. And I made a post online. I was like, has anybody had any pretty serious like testicle injuries? Because like, I get hit real good, and like, I got flooded with messages. So like, clearly a lot of people have been smashing their boys before, but everybody's like, you got to go get seen. Like, go see someone. If it's torsion, you could lose it, all this stuff. So I went, and I went to another walk-in, and they actually saw me, and this lady was like so agitated the whole time. She was just like, I'm so hungry. I'm not even supposed to be doing this right now. I was like, can I please just get my ultrasound? And she's like close to tears. She's like so frustrated. It's like, do you know what I'm here for? Like, I got smashed in my groin, and like, I don't think I'm even all the way there anymore. And you're like venting about all this stuff, and then she couldn't get her mouse to work. She's like, oh, I don't know how to work this mouse. I don't know how to use this computer. She had to call somebody down, and they just had to put batteries in her mouse. And finally, like, it gets going. She does the ultrasound, and she's looking at it, and like, she calls somebody else in, and they look at it, and then this dude comes over, and he's like, so what have you had to eat or drink today? I was like, oh, surgery. And yeah, they're like, yeah, unfortunately, you got to go to emergency surgery. So they took me in the ambulance. Before they did, I was like, hey, could I get a picture? It's like, they actually like blew up pretty big, put me on like TMZ and Ariel's show and Jim Rome and all this stuff. So it was like blessing in disguise, sort of, you know. But yeah, they basically, like, the testicle exploded, went, like, the contents of the inside went to the outside, so they had to like trim some of it up and put permanent stitches, like metal stitches or something like that, that'll just be there forever. And just basically, if I didn't know what was in there, you'd feel it, and you'd feel it. Just kidding. Maybe. But it just feels like there's something totally not right there, which I guess is not too right, but you'd just be like, oh, is that cancer? What is that?
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I had my levels checked, so I'm no like TRT Vitor, but I'm normal, I think. But yeah, so I haven't been told I need to be looked at anymore. I think I'm just kind of like a wounded animal from here on out. But
Now
you know,
it's
I'm
just
alive.
a cool story.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Let's back up just
So
a little
cool.
bit. So
Yeah.
it takes you 2 hours to get to Joe's.
Mhm.
And how long were you training about?
So we do a jiu-jitsu class, and then after that we roll. So it was like right at the beginning of rolling. I was maybe one round in, and then I started rolling with him, and then smash.
All right, so 2
bros.
hours to get there, call it an hour of training, 2 hours driving back. After a medical professional says, I don't want to help you, which has got to be incredibly, awesome for you.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, you still haven't gone to see the doctor, and then bam, emergency surgery.
Yep.
That's a good story.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Yeah. Argentina was a totally different animal. That one was like, I felt so good in the first round. Like that whole fight week was like a little rough. Like I was in bed a lot of it. I just didn't feel right. I don't think it was the travel. I just didn't feel too good. And like I remember the night like of the fight, and this is like you roll the dice. You like do all this weight cutting, all this stuff. Like to feel perfect is impossible. But hopefully you feel pretty good. But I just remember out back, I like kind of wanted to stay laying down. I was like asking you guys, like, can I lay down a little longer? Like I just didn't feel too good. But I went out there the first round. I felt like I did really good. Like in my eyes, I've watched it. I thought I definitely won. Like clenched, landed some good knees from the clench, chased them the entire fight. But right in the second round, I don't know what it was. I get hit with something, and I just remember hearing like a zzz, and then everything in this eye just slowly, well, not even slowly, it was just like zoom, and just vision gone. And it was like not black, but it was dark yellow. So I didn't know what happened, but it was just for the rest of the fight I couldn't see. So after the second round finished, I was waiting to go back out. I don't really it's hard to remember everything in between rounds. I don't know if you guys kind of even noticed really, or like whatever.
I don't think we knew during the fight that you couldn't see.
Yeah.
I know in between the second and the third round, the ref called the doctor in,
Mhm.
and then he was doing the test on you, but I don't think it was that because of anything we said.
Yeah. So in between the second and third, they came to look at me because basically, like, when I was waiting to go out for the third round, I just closed my right eye. I mean, it didn't need to be closed, but I saw way better with one eye closed because, like, otherwise it was like one solid, like, dark yellow and then normal vision. So when I closed it, everything was like looked better, and it was like easier to kind of be out there. But they saw me do that, so they came over and they looked at me. Which, when they did that, I can't believe they kept the fight going. They didn't do the finger check. They just said, they were looking at me like, are you okay? And I just said yes. So they let me go back out. And then, got through the fight. I lost the decision. And the thing that sucked is that I was in Argentina, and like the medical, like the doctors and everything weren't the best, and like the facilities weren't the best. They took me away in the ambulance. And I was just talking to them because I was like, the fight's over. Like, it is what it is, go on. But I was like, can I see? Am I going to be able to see? Because I didn't know what happened. I know, like, Winkle John got, like, kicked in the eye and, like, lost his, like, pupil and went blind in that eye. But they were just kind of, like, looking at me like, well, we don't really understand what you're saying, English boy. And I was like, can I see? And they were looking at me, and then somebody else would look at me, and they, like, just shake their head no. I was like, what's that mean? And then we get to the ER, and then, like, still, like, not really knowing what was going on with my eye, and then I'm starting to like get x-rays and like grabbing my feet and throwing them all over the place because my left foot, I still have like this giant knot. I don't think it'll ever go away, but I had heard it before the fight, and then immediately, because I'm exactly who I'm always going to be, I'm just going to throw my legs at whenever. Like the first kick, pretty much my foot just blew back up. But they're like doing all these x-rays, still don't know what's going on with my eyeball, and then finally somebody that speaks English like kind of talked to me like, all right, so you have a hyphema in your eyeball. So it's basically just a bad bruise. So all the blood pooled into my eyeball, and it just made it so you can't see. So it was weird too, because like when I was resting in between like them doing like different tests or whatever, I'd be laying on my back, and the blood would settle in a certain way, and then they're like, I like talked to him, like, oh my god, I can actually see a little bit. Like, you're really blurry, but I can see a little bit. It would sit up, and the blood would move, and then I'd be like, oh my god, I'm blind again, I can't see. So it was just like the blood would just like teeter-totter inside my eyeball. But at the time of the injury, it was the whole eye was just one solid color, just like dark brown.
I remember we took a picture of it.
Yeah, it
like,
looks really
real
funny.
Close up. You could probably get that. It was like real close up of your eye, and you could just see the actual like pupil had like like blood in it, and like you could see it, and then you could see it like kind of going down. And,
Yeah.
like, freaky.
Yeah, because that was like we'd already been in the hospital for a little while, so like you could see how it like started to drain a bit. Like the top started to be like the normal color again, but the primary amount like of the eyeball was that just blood colored.
The hospital experience was interesting because they taxied me, Jay, and Joe over after, and we get there, and he's like on a rusty bed. It was like half a storage room, half of like a triage room, and he's on this bed, and we're like just taking seats that were like there for storage, and we're taking them sitting down, and then there's like trash bins, and then they brought another fighter in there from Mexico. He was there. His eyes were swollen shut, and so we're all just hanging out, like, and they were trying to, put an IV in, and the next thing there was blood all over the floor. They just left it. Like, I was like, this is not.
Was the blood from the IV attempt?
Yeah, it just squirted out. We'll
They
just
just
leave
left
that.
it.
Maybe
I'm
get
sure.
some samples from it later.
Janet will be here next week,
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
It was a hospital gas station.
It was attached to a gas.
And what set the whole stage for everything was like, all right, this is how my hospital stay is gonna be. They're taking me out of the ambulance, and they dropped me out of the bed. Both my feet are totally busted, and I have to like catch my balance on both my feet, and, like sleep away and like hobble and like, oh, get me back in my bed.
Remember the cast they made you?
Oh,
They wouldn't
yeah.
let us leave yet. Like, no, we need to make him a cast for his foot. It was basically gauze with a piece of wood on the bottom, or I don't even know.
Yeah,
what
it was basically like the worst. It was like a first grader's like paper mache like attempt at a cast, and I was like, "Is this right?" And the lady's like in very broken English, is like, "I'm not supposed to be doing this today. Like, I'm not. The person's not here. Like, I don't know what I'm doing." Basically, so yeah, they didn't have the right person to make a terrible cast for me. So she was just like, "I think I mixed this with this, and voila." And by the time like I had to shower. I was like, I'm not like it's so common for fighters to get sick after being in that cage. Like, it's not like it's a vinyl that you clean right after. It's like everybody's blood and sweat, tears, like disgusting particles are all over that cage. So like you're like on your back on it and like absorbing all this like nasty bacteria. So I always want to like shower as quick as possible. So when I got home from the hospital, plus that hospital was not probably very clean, I showered off, and by the time I was out of the shower, I tried to like put a plastic bag over it, but it was just like this sopping, disgusting mess of a cast. So I just took it off and went downstairs. So yeah, it was fun.
it sounds like his medical experiences are straight out of a Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Yeah, clerics. Yeah, pretty much.
I think we got some time for some questions.
Yeah, we got some questions for you. First one: do you think Joe actually feels bad about your ball?
I think he did, but now after everything that happened because of it, he takes like credit for it. Like he's like, you gotta admit it's the best thing that ever happened to your career. Before, I think he was a lot more upset, or not really upset, but like no, Joe's a good guy, but he's a very like straight shooter. Like he'll tell you exactly how he feels about something. Like if there's something you're kind of like you want to be like buttered up because, like don't ask Joe because he'll tell you exactly what he feels like. And yeah, he it's just he's been injured a lot before. It's part of the game. You can't really dwell on injuring somebody, especially I wasn't wearing a cup. I always wear my diamond when I fight, but up until now, I never wore grappling. Now I don't like sleep with it on basically. Was those poultry guys?
I don't know. Also, I heard, like it sounds like some
Sounds
drag
like a
racing.
motorcycle, yeah.
It could be. I think there's a garage below us, so it could be someone in the garage probably. But yeah, no. I could make Joe spinning it as a positive. That would be something Joe would do.
Does Phoebe, your pig, does she do any tricks?
She hops up and she sits, but not much else. Oh yeah, I hope they're getting this.
Yeah, you can definitely.
A little drag
I
race
can hear
action.
it. I can hear. I don't know if anybody else can. I know you can, obviously, but
Yeah.
We'll throw in some post, some sounds in there.
Yeah.
Some Fast and Furious noises.
So no tricks. Just she can just sit. Will it sit if you don't have food?
Yeah, I mean, just because she'll expect food after. Yeah, I mean, if you look at videos of like pigs doing tricks, there's I don't know who says this, but I guess they're smarter than dogs. She doesn't act like it because she's so food driven. She just always wants food. Gunner just wants to make you happy, so you like do whatever,
Yeah.
But if you really want to take the time, I just like hanging out with her. I don't really want to I'd rather just feed her than make her do tricks.
Now, this is going to be a complete aside. This is just for my edification. Do they fix pigs? Because I know, obviously, if the pigs get out wild, they can cause real issues with the land and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But did they fix your pig?
Yeah, so basically with pigs, you want to have them fixed at a certain age so they don't get like the hormones where like they'll still get like somewhat of tusks, but like if you don't fix them, they'll have all those hormones where they get like big tusks and they'll be more aggressive and whatnot. So yeah, she was fixed at I don't know how many weeks, like 8 weeks or so that all that stuff doesn't happen. She's a lot more docile and calm and nice.
Cool.
No thanks. I don't want to get fixed.
Now, another question is, why don't you use your jiu-jitsu in fights?
I guess I don't want to. No, it's definitely something like, for example, my last fight, it was basically like, I've been trying to do more as far as like game planning, just to like go in there. Like, again, I feel like I always prepare as much as I can, but I'm not always like thinking of exactly the best way to prepare for certain individuals. Like, I'm always training so hard, but like, am I putting the right energy on each little thing I should be doing? Like, does he have a great guillotine? Does he have a great left hand? Like, whatever. And I feel like the last 2 fights I've thought about it more, but our game plan in this fight was to stand. We were going to fight his opponent, his teammate, who is also the same height, and he's a lefty. Same gym, pretty much same person from Spain. And the game plan was just stand with him, avoid the left hand, stand. And I mean, we just ended up chasing him the whole fight. It wasn't until like the last 10 seconds where I was like, I guess I'll try and take him down, but we never really went in our head. And I feel like, it just didn't happen. When I fought Daryl Horcher, I feel like I won on my feet. Like the first round, I thought it was super close. The first half of the round, I outstruck him big time. Then I actually took him down. I had a nice takedown, but he reversed it. And then I was on bottom, threw up a couple little things. Really didn't get hit on my back or anything. It was pretty much a boring last 2.5 minutes. But that's what the last half was. If it was flipped, maybe it wouldn't have been a split. I mean, who knows? But the second half is really what's going to be more of an imprint on the judges' scorecards. The second round, I lost. Third round, I definitely won. I got I went for a deep guillotine, and then we ended up on the ground. I had like a Doris or Anaconda attempt, and but yeah, it's just I've just never really forced it. It's just I like standing up and I like just fighting. But I've definitely noticed that sometimes if I end up on the ground, people just stand there. They will not get in my guard.
Yeah.
And they don't want to give me the space to stand up either. It's kind of just like that really terrible. Like the last fight, I feel like should have been stood up probably 5 or 6 extra times, because he said it was very annoying. It's like. It's definitely on me to like roll the dice. He's not going to stand me up, so like even though I'm in a bad spot, maybe I'll get kicked in the face once, but I should probably just do it. But it's a mistake, and that's you just got to grow from that kind of thing. But I definitely feel like my jiu-jitsu is very dangerous. It's something that we will continue getting better with, making it happen, opposed to just expecting it to because it's a fight, and we usually end up there.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, you also, talked about, it was previously if you were offered a fight, yeah, I'll fight him. I'll do it whenever, wherever. And you said you didn't use a lot of, like, film footage. Is that something you're starting to integrate now more and in the future?
The only thing I watched in my last opponent was a highlight reel. It was like a 6-minute highlight reel of just, we don't get too much from it, it was just him knocking people out over and over. It's like, all right, well,
Build your confidence.
He hits hard enough to knock someone out, so let's not get hit with that hand, But I think it's definitely good, but in my mind, like, I try not to obsess over what they can do. I like the idea if I can get it from coaches to like have them watch and then have people like do those things in training, like have this guy always throw this punch or like try for this takedown, always attempt this submission, whatever, opposed to like me just having it in my mind like transfixed, because like I don't like the feeling of having the fight going in my head and like, oh, what if he lands this or that. I kind of just like training and feeling like I'm prepared for everything, especially if they're putting those things into their live training.
Yeah, I think some people have that mindset of like, I don't want to go watch a ton of videos. It's just going to psych me out, and then I'm going to overthink everything. But they want to know that someone's watching it, and then like, you know, whether it be your coaches or your wife, whatever,
Yeah.
like someone's watching it and then they're telling the people that are training with you, like, listen, like make sure you're constantly attacking the lead leg, you know, lots of leg kicks, takedowns, whatever. And then at least you're getting those looks, and then they could tell you, hey, you know, we got to start protecting our lead leg more. Let's start defending takedowns, strike with a lower stance so you're not getting taken down, whatever, you know. And then at least you're going in there prepared for what's probably going to happen in the fight.
Yeah.
But
All right, and if you could fight in one place, where would it be?
I've said, because the last 4 were with the UFC, and everyone was like, my mom saw every single one of my fights up until I was in the UFC. Well, she hides in the bathroom every time I fight, and she waits for a text to say the fight's over because she's so scared. But it was Arizona, Oklahoma, Calgary, Argentina. So I really want my family, friends, and team to actually see me fight. So, like, I always dreamed of seeing myself in Boston fighting, or, like, in New York, because Carolina's, she grew up in New York, and it's close enough for people here to drive and, like, have a big group. So it's not really, like, a specific place. Obviously, like, people talk about, like, iconic places, TD Garden, Madison Square Garden, as far as, like, if we're looking, like, big arenas. But that's, I mean, everybody wants that. It's, you know, that's not always going to be the way life plays out, but I would love to see my family in the crowd again. And then if that's not the case, it definitely excites me, like traveling, like Japan or something like that. Because I don't want to go fight in California. Like, I will, but I would love to fight close where family can be there, or have it be this world experience where I'm like, wow, I'm walking 5 continents, like, and I'm doing martial arts across the world. But, like, I don't want to go to some kid's backyard in, like, you know, whatever. Like, I fought Drakkar close in, like, right in the backyard of the lab, you know? And it's like, every good thing I did, not that I thought that I won that fight by any means, was like, land a good kick, silence. Punch goes off my glove, crowd goes nuts, you know? So it's like, yeah, that's kind of what I think. I would love to fight where everybody can see me again.
And did you do anything fun after your fight in Argentina?
Went to a couple bars. No, nothing too crazy. You know, that's kind of what was too unfortunate about Argentina, because I heard how beautiful it was, but I felt like it was, I don't know if it's bad to say, but a little bit slummy where we were at. Like, it was cool walking the streets and stuff, but I didn't get to see any, like, the beautiful, like landscapes or anything like that. There was a bunch of places we talked about going to, but we pretty much ended up being around, like, kind of like the city and town areas the whole time. Calgary was maybe the best experience ever after a fight, because we went to Banff, Canada, and like, if you haven't looked at pictures, like, if you bring pictures up here, so you got to look at it. We've wanted to go there since we've known each other, me and Carolyn, because we watch this movie festival every single year, which is like the Banff Film Festival. It's all these outdoor, like, nature documentaries, whatever. It's just amazing. So we've always had Banff in our to-go list, and never thought it would be possible. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, we're going to fight 30 days notice after 13 months in Canada. And all right, let's see how close it is. It's like an hour or 2 drive. So we go there and we stay there, see all, like, the water, go on these hikes, go on top of these mountains. It was unreal. So, yeah.
I never been to Banff. I was supposed to go when I was in tech sales. The President's Club got to go every year, and I made like 120% of my goal for the year, and then they took one of my deals and gave it to my field rep, because they're like, oh, I'm not gonna go to the club now, and they're like, no, it's fine, because you're not 120%. It's not gonna get you to club. And then so they took me from 120 down to 101. I still got paid on it and everything, so I went 101. The cutoff ended up being like 117, so I didn't get to go to Banff. So
cool.
Now whenever I think of Banff, I get angry.
Yeah, it's amazing. You should be angry.
You want to ski there at some point?
I would love to. Yeah, we went. Like, I don't eat meat much. Like, I was vegetarian since I was 14 up until like early 20s, and then I started eating fish, and then now I only eat, like, wild game. Now it's only been a couple years because my family owns all these hunting camps up Maine. But when we went to Banff, there's this super fancy, like, fondue place, and they had all these, like, exotic meats. I felt like I was, like, I don't know, I felt a little bit bad about myself. I was, like, eating kangaroo and alligator and frogs and all this stuff, but it was, like, just one of those weird occasions where it's like, I'm just going to be part of everything here. This is, like, this really fancy place. I got, like, my team here, and we just had this fondue with all this, like, crazy exotic creatures. Just killed for my sake. Sorry,
I think
guys.
it's I want to go hunting. Like, I'm not like a big hunter, but me, Rob, and Calvin always say we want to go. Just, it's like more like just being out in the woods and doing fun stuff like that. Like, you know, I've gone hog hunting out like down in Oklahoma, but I want poor Phoebe. It's not your relatives. We got you. But they're feral at that point. They're like ruining the world. So like, you know, they ruin their land and all that stuff. So they go and they try to they're more of a nuisance.
Yeah.
Can
I
I
mean,
call
Phoebe
it to-
can't handle being left alone in the house. I can't imagine what a bunch of giant ones could do. She's just like, she will destroy some stuff if you leave the cabinets like able to open. You had to like baby proof some stuff. Wrecking ball.
So do you have a call out to Larry to get that all set up?
Larry Bennett, where you at? He's got 180 acres out in Oklahoma, and he's got like friends like border him that have like 1,000. But when we went last time, we went into a 10,000 acre dairy farm. Went out at night on the razors with dogs and
You're shooting cows?
freaking wild. No, we didn't shoot cows. We were trying to shoot pigs that were ruining the cows' land.
Right, yeah.
We're saving cows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're terrible. The ones in like Texas and wherever,
Yeah.
they wreck a lot. They do a lot worse than good. Phoebe's the one exception. Come to Elgash, man. We got
Let's do it.
All sorts
We
of
gotta
hunting
set
there.
something up.
I don't know how to hunt, but we can all learn together.
I don't actually want to kill anything. I just want to like be out and hang out in the woods and
Just bring a
do
camera.
the boys.
Just
Yeah,
bring a
I'll
camera.
film out IG stories. I know you got a hard cutoff soon, so do you want to tell us how can we get a hold of you? Like if people want to follow you, best way, Instagram,
Yeah,
Twitter?
Instagram. I think it's Devin Powell _ Nostos MMA, which is my gym. Nostos MMA, as in Mother Mary. Mother Mary. Mixed martial arts. Twitter, I think, is Devin Powell MMA. I think. I'm very bad with Twitter. I use it a lot less frequently. I should be better at it, as the experts say. Facebook, I don't have a page, so it's like every once in a while a couple weirdos get deleted, but I think about that like 5,000 range or whatever. But you can follow my boring life on there too. But usually Instagram, like that's where you go to see Phoebe, because she's the kind of the popular one. I won't make her a page because she'll steal all my glory.
Well, there you go.
What town is Nostos in?
Somersworth, New Hampshire. So I live in Maine and Wells, and we're like 20 minutes from the border. We're real close to New Hampshire.
No, we appreciate you coming in, and I know it's a drive, but I see you have a cool story, you have a cool look. I'm excited for you to get back in there.
Yeah.
And we'll make Phoebe famous.
Yeah.
So, we appreciate it.
Maybe we can walk her out on a leash, like
Dude,
for a
that would be-
walkout,
How cool would that be?
That'd be sweet.
We have to come out to a song that involves pigs, though.
This guy's like Rickles that has the crazy walkouts.
Yeah,
Maybe
Bam.
I could, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the commission would approve that?
Depends where you fight.
Maybe she wears a diaper.
It's
No.
true.
She's trained, right?
Yeah, she's trained.
Yeah, there you
but-
go.
It's an emotional support pig.
There's a lot of people in the UFC that travel with their animals.
Yeah,
I
Rose
was
travels with her
surprised.
dog, yeah.
Like when they did the retreat, however many years ago, a couple of years too.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of people that brought their pets because us fighters are not very confident people. We're like we need some help and like something to cuddle all the time. Like we're under a lot of stress.
Or we're just good at finding loopholes.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
So, now thanks, Devin. We appreciate you coming in. Tell Carolyn we said what's up.
Got it.
And now I know you're married. It's Carolyn Powell. It's like obviously you're married, but I don't know why I just kept thinking fiance. So sorry, Carol. Lynn. Don't call her Carol.
Never call her Carol.
It's probably worse that I call her Carol. But no, we appreciate it, and this is you get a good story. I think it's cool. I'm interested to see you get back in there and just see you improve now that you're doing working with Mike Perry and Joe and those
huge.
guys, and see your gym grow. I'm excited, man. We appreciate it.
We
Thanks,
got mats
everybody.
now.
Yeah, we got mats. Yeah,
the whole
You
last
had a
camp,
flood.
my gym was flooded. That sucked.
Hey, on to better things every time.
Yeah, right.
But on that note, thanks everybody for tuning in. A couple weeks we'll be checking back. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube to our channel. Just search It Takes a Team podcast, and then same thing on iTunes. And I don't think we're up yet on Spotify, but we should be soon, and then also on SoundCloud. So just search It Takes a Team podcast, and then subscribe and like. We appreciate all the support. Thank you. Did I do it again, Howard?